Hello there. Welcome to Speaking of Business. I'm your host, Nancy Boyle, and today we're talking about an exciting event coming up in April. It's called OneSpark, and if you haven't been there, you better go this year. So joining me are Meredith O'Malley Johnson with OneSpark, Patricia Davis with Kata, and Mark McComb with Renaissance Jacks. So welcome, everybody.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. Meredith, I'm going to skip over you for just a second. I'm going to start with Patricia. Patricia, tell us about Kata and what is Kata about?
CATA is an acronym for Consumers Against Toxic Apparel. The textile industry is the second largest polluter on the planet. We create awareness, educate, and inspire consumers to know this, to know about the toxic chemicals that are being used in their clothes, how your clothes are produced, and how it affects your health.
Okay. Mark, tell us about Renaissance Jacks.
All right, Renaissance Jacks is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to putting competitive youth robotics teams in every school in our region. It's really important that we do this so we can start generating the workforce that's really going to drive local industry, the kind of workforce that will convince other companies globally to relocate to Jacksonville to take advantage of all the resources.
Excellent. Now, Meredith, since both Patricia and Mark are going to be here because of OneSpark, why don't you tell us about what you do and what is OneSpark?
Sure. Well, I'm the Community and Public Relations Director for OneSpark, so I handle public relations, outreach, and volunteers. And I think these are two great examples of creator projects at OneSpark and the variety we have. So OneSpark is the world's largest crowdfunding festival. And for 5 days every April, and this is our third year, we have creators, which is anyone with a great idea or a project. And we have 555 of those projects this year that will that will be exhibiting in 71 venues, over 20 square blocks of the OneSpark Festival footprint in downtown Jacksonville. And those venues could be anything from restaurants to parking lots to small businesses that are existing. And the venues actually pick what projects they want to have. And we have 6 categories this year. We have art, education, that's a new category. Health and science, music, social good, also a new category, and technology. So that's kind of the big picture, and it's free to attend, so you can come there, make direct contributions, which is what crowdfunding really is just making small contributions to a project that you think is cool to help make it happen. And if enough people make small contributions, then projects can get a lot of money and a lot of market validation and feedback for their idea.
Okay. Now, Patricia, this is your first time, so
Yes,
you've
it
never
is.
experienced OneSpark, right?
I have not.
Okay. So, what possessed you to be a creator this year? Seriously, what was it that sparked your interest in this? It's a very cool event, by the way.
Very cool.
Very cool event. So, tell us a little bit about what led you to the decision of being a creator.
Well, it was just the time.
Okay.
Because of the company, we are currently growing. OneSpark is the perfect opportunity for us to, first of all, create the awareness that we are trying to create in the public, for us to brand our company, for us to get feedback, and to know what direction we need to go in the future.
Okay. And Meredith, let me ask you, how many people would you, I know you don't have an exact number, but tell us about last year. How many people do you think showed up at OneSpark?
Well, the very first year was 2013, and we had 130,000 people show up, which, the first day we just sat there praying people were going to come, and then 130,000 people came. We actually doubled that the second year. 260,000 people came to OneSpark 2014. So we're expecting around that same amount, maybe a few more depending on weather, because it is an indoor-outdoor festival. But all those people coming to give market validation and feedback to these great projects, hopefully contribute some funds, and like branding your idea and being able to talk to the public, just who could be your future consumers, about what you're doing.
Which I think is interesting because you're trying to create awareness.
Yes.
That's a lot of awareness, 260,000 folks coming by your booth.
Absolutely. And we want even more people to come. So I think Meredith's number is a little conservative. I dream big and I have high hopes. So we want more and more people each year to start attending OneSpark.
Well, good. Well, Mark is an experienced creator. You've been participating since the first year, right?
Since the very first year. It was kind of an odd chance that I participated the first year because I had originally planned to launch my nonprofit in that year, but it was not the right time. I wasn't mature enough, but I was still asked to do something. And that something was a crazy project called Uncle Monsters Minions Masterminds of Mayhem, this kind of really off-the-wall,
I was going
avant-garde.
to say that 3 times fast.
Uncle Monsters Minions Masterminds of Mayhem. We basically were asked to bring mayhem to the festival. That was the explicit intent of the project.
Okay.
And it was designed by a handful of very, very gifted people who graduated from the art department at UNF. But that experience got all of us free access at the Arts District, very close quarters with the man Dolph James, who was helping curate venues at the time. And he, from there, allowed me to apprentice with him. He set up a board of directors for Renaissance Jacks, which turned into a nonprofit shortly thereafterwards with, again, the mission to build competitive robotics teams in every school in Duval County. It's just this very strange move from mayhem to a robotics program being pushed in the second year. And when we showed up the second year at OneSpark, you know, we had a fleet of robots out there. We got major validation from everybody saying, wow, we really do need this. It allowed me to refine my pitch about 300 times over the course of the festival, and you can take an idea and boil it down to the essence while you're at OneSpark. Right. You don't need to know, essentially, when you go there, but from talking to 5,000, 10,000 people at least, you will know exactly what you need to say after then. So even the first day of OneSpark last year, Preston Haskell, who started the Haskell Company, walked up to me. I didn't know who he was. He gave me his business card and said, give me a call after the festival is over. He liked what we had to say. We met executives from Everbank shortly thereafter. Things just happen because that's what is supposed to happen at OneSpark. The money is just a small lure to really get you to have a serious deadline, get your stuff together, go down there with everything you've got, and put your brain on display, your project, your business, and you never really know what can come out of it. But if we've always found that if you go down there not looking for money, looking for other things, you know, support, resources, manpower, you will get what you are looking for.
What was the most surprising thing to you after your first year? Here, I mean, you go into this event, it's a first-time event for Jack, well, for anywhere really, right, Meredith?
Yep.
It's a first-time event. You're going in there to create mayhem, and after the event was over, what surprised you the most about that first year?
I thought the entire city woke up collectively at once and said, we can do this. We don't have to, you know, pigeonhole ourselves into this, you know, dirty notion of what we thought Jacksonville used to be. We have an opportunity to build upon this momentum and do anything that we think the city needs to do in order to get to like a really globally minded place. And I thought that it was really Jacksonville's opportunity to shine and say, you know, we're more than just here. We're more than a town with a football team. We are a bunch of very creative people who have an opportunity to define what the future looks like. And OneSpark is essentially the launch pad for all of that. And I firmly believe in that. And it's evident in what's happened since then for so many successful creators. I mean, it's really launched my initiative into the stratosphere, I think. I mean, within weeks of OneSpark last year, I went from having no place, no establishment, to having like almost 4,000 square feet of manufacturing space that I started doing summer camps in and started partnering with Vistacon. And it's just like, you know, my story is just one instance of countless more that are happening every single day. And it's a catalyst. It's a serious catalyst for creation.
Well, and I think what you're saying is pretty interesting because you're not focusing in on the money, you know, which I think is a draw for a lot of creators because they are fledgling businesses or they're new ideas and they need the money.
You can spend $10,000 with one stroke of your pen.
Yeah.
Think about it that way. You're not going to move forward with $10,000. You might recoup your costs and then have a good couple weeks, maybe put a down payment on one small piece of equipment or something like that. Depends on what you're trying to do. But it's motivation. It's firepower, it's gas in your tank. And it made it so that I had no fear moving forward into the uncharted business world.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But Meredith, I want to come back to this funding issue because I think a lot of people, you know, they hear crowdfunding, they don't quite know exactly what it is. They do know that these new businesses are looking for funding. So can you explain that? Because that's a little on the confusing side for, I think, for a lot of folks.
Well, you know, let me start with a lot of businesses or even just idea stage or about to launch projects that come to OneSpark, they might be looking for different things. If you're really early stage, you're not ready for investment or a large influx of money necessarily. You still need to go through that market validation and feedback stage and kind of test your project with the public and make sure that it's something you should move forward with. So all these different stage projects might have different goals for what they're coming to OneSpark for.
Okay.
But there is a lot of people, looking for the funding. So how that works, and just to go back a little too about what crowdfunding is, it actually started in the late 90s with websites like Kickstarter.com and Indiegogo.com, where you could put up your idea online and ask people to help fund it to make it happen in small amounts. So, there's small amounts. If 1,000 people give you $10, it can add up to a lot of money. And you hear occasionally on TV, on the news about like a project being uber successful and making a lot of money. But what makes OneSpark special is it's not just this passive online experience. You're actually pitching your idea in public, and not only are you getting market feedback and validation, but if they really are like into it, they might say, I love your idea, I'm going to give you $50. And a big change for this year is we have rewards-based crowdfunding. So just like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, you can actually give rewards. So say you're a band and you're about to come out with your new LP. You could say, well, if you contribute, $30 to my project, you can be the first one to get our new LP, and we'll mail that out to you.
Okay.
Or if something like that. So that's
Sure.
a big change for this year. We're hopeful will put more money in the pockets of creators to help these ideas happen. We also have awards in each category. So we have the 6 categories I already talked about: art, education, health and science, music, social good, and tech. So each of those categories has 2 $15,000 awards, one for top voted by the public, because as an attendee you can download our app and vote for projects you like or contribute, either one. And there's also a $15,000 juried award in each category. So that's right there, 12 $15,000 awards, and those are up from $10,000 last year. And then we have a $15,000 award that goes to the project that gets the most crowdfunding dollars, because we feel like that shows a lot of validation for that idea. And this year, this is brand new, we have a Jacksonville Award that's $5,000 that's going to be awarded by a jury that thinks that whatever project they pick will have the biggest potential impact on Jacksonville. So awards, direct crowdfunding. Then there's also the private investment.
Okay.
And companies need to be in a certain stage to be ready for that. They need a formal business plan. They need to have a team of people that are working on the project or small business, but they can apply for that funding. And private investors, we have $3.5 million committed by private investors that they want to invest in startups at OneSpark. So projects have the opportunity to apply for that funding, and that deal would be worked out between the private investor and the project. So there is a lot of funding on the table, but like Mark said, it might not be about the funding for where you're at with your idea. But we do offer a variety of resources. In our surveys last year, the market feedback and validation, that was the #1 thing creators said they got out of OneSpark. The second one being visibility. And the third one being connecting with people, just like Mark did with Preston Haskell. And then the fourth was funding. So it's kind of, every project is different. Every project has a different goal. And funding is just one of the resources offered at OneSpark.
Well, and I think Mark's point is very well taken, because, a connection like Preston Haskell, could lead to much bigger things than a $10,000 award, which was last year's award.
Yep.
So there's a lot to be said for those non-funding aspects of things. And I think people, what they know a little bit about OneSpark, everybody kind of thinks about the funding issue, but the reality of it is there's a lot more there.
Yeah,
as
the
a
funding
creator.
is kind of like the sexy thing that media picks up on, all this money. But I think when you talk one-on-one with creators, that you hear about all the other resources that OneSpark can connect you with.
Okay, well, let's get the details about it. When is it? What time is it? You mentioned the footprint.
Yeah,
Let's talk
20 square
footprint.
blocks. Yeah. So it's April 7th through the 12th.
Okay.
The first day, April 7th, is a Tuesday, and that's the OneSpark Speaker Summit. That's the only paid portion of the festival, and it's actually included. Creators get to go to that. It's included in their registration fee, so they can get all inspired by all these awesome entrepreneurs before they start showcasing. So the creator showcasing starts on April 8th and runs through the 12th. So from 11 to 9 every day of the festival, 11 to 3 on Sunday the 12th, you can come see all these projects. Again, 20 square blocks, downtown Jacksonville. If you drive into downtown Jacksonville, you won't be able to miss it. And you can go to onesparkparking.com. I know
Okay.
parking can be an issue downtown, so we help you out by having One Spark Parking. There's tons of parking options. So, and you can come. It's very family friendly. We have a lot of great venues for families this year. Ed Spark venue is a popular one, curated by the Schultz Center for Teaching and Leadership.
Okay.
And that's going to be at the Times Union Center. Another really good one, the library, the main library downtown, is going to have a lot of funding for, not funding, but programming for kids, like, reading times. And if you haven't visited the new Sweet Pete's, candy store
yes.
and restaurant, there's going to be kids activities there as well. So, and that's a new venue for this year because they just moved downtown. So
Okay.
that's just a taste of 3 of the 71 venues.
Now, are you doing anything in the evenings? Any kind of entertainment in the evenings?
Yes, we do have One Spark After Dark.
Okay.
Again, free. It runs from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. That's in the Jack's Chamber parking lot. So that's like right at Main and Bay Street.
Okay.
And you can come there. We have national bands from all over. One of my personal favorites is Sun Bears, which is a local band. But those bands start playing at 8. And we have DJs, we have food trucks, we have the One Spark beers that were made by Intuition Ale Works. So there's really something for everyone at One Spark, every age, every...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Patricia, I want to come
Yeah.
back to you because this is your first experience, and of course, you're hearing Mark's experience.
Yeah.
I know you heard more from Mark last night, and now more from Meredith. So, what are the things that you're doing to get ready for One Spark?
Oh my gosh, what are we not doing?
Okay.
Because I do have a background in business, and we do productions in addition to what we've had to do for One Spark. It's getting our team together. It's setting a plan, setting a goal. It is completely branding yourself. It is knowing exactly where you want to go and what you want to accomplish while you're at One Spark. And what I've learned is it's an opportunity to build a business owner's self-esteem and self-confidence, because all the questions that are in your mind about your business, what you want to accomplish, you are actually answering those questions while you're getting ready for One Spark. So it's a perfect vehicle to increase your intensity of what you're doing, to validate your passion for what you want to do with your company and where you want to go.
Well, and I think you mentioned something very interesting about setting a goal of what you want to accomplish at the event. And I think sometimes people who are new to some of this stuff, they want to get it all at once.
Right.
And I know when we teach networking to people, especially people who are new at networking, they want to go to these events and they want to meet everybody. It's, hi, how are you? Give me your card. Hi, how are you?
Right.
Give me your card. Hi, how are you? Give me your card. So you're like this little vacuum cleaner sucking up all these business cards, and you walk away with a wad of business cards, and the next day you don't remember anything about the people that you met. And you can't follow up because I can't remember if I had a conversation with Meredith and we were going to connect up, or I met Patricia and really enjoyed the conversation, but we're going in different directions or whatever. You can't follow up.
Right.
So I think what you just said is really important about know why you're there and stay focused in on that, because it's real easy when you have
Exactly.
260,000 people descending upon you
Exactly.
to get sidetracked.
What we did was I set my goal, and there's a certain market that I want to approach. And it's, it's good being surrounded by all the people, but I know what my target market is. When you talk about textiles affect every man, woman, and child. But who's in charge of those textiles?
Sure.
It's the moms. The moms have to take care of the babies, and the moms take care of the husbands. So that's my target market, to go to those people and present our project and to brand our company. Explain to them why this is so important.
Well, and I think it's very well taken. Mark, I want to come back to you because you're the experienced creator here. What advice do you have for especially creators like Patricia who this is their first year. I mean, we're right now at a point where people are still getting ready for it,
Yeah.
but before you know it, the event's almost going to be over.
It's really crazy. I mean, those 4 or 5 days go by so quick, and you don't really have. You got to make sure that you have somebody going to get food and water for you, because you're going to be there talking to people. This is that's a hard-learned lesson. I'll starve for the festival if somebody doesn't go and get me stuff. Try and leave your booth. You know, you're going to get burnt out. You know, go see the rest of the festival. At least walk a block or two in one direction. You know, it's so much to take in. You're never going to see all the creators, but you can at least try and interact. You know, talking to the other creators is almost just as important, or if not more important, than talking to the crowd, because you'll find more people with your tenacity in the creator pool than you find in the general public walking around, because half the time the public doesn't know what's going on. I'm sitting there asking people, are you registered to vote? And they're thinking I'm talking about Duval County elections. I'm trying to get them to register to vote for OneSpark, which is the purpose of the crowd. You bring the
Sure.
crowd to get the validation, but you want them to vote on the projects. So I think that seeing what the other creators have to offer is probably one of the best things that I can say to a rookie creator, because just personally, that allowed me to start a manufacturing company last year from a direct relationship that I made with one creator that has spawned other relationships from their contact list, and their visibility has made my business grow, and it's a compounding thing. And so I think the creator pool is just as important as the crowd for getting your wares off the ground. I mean, you might find boutique stores that are ready to sell consciously sewn garments, you know.
Well, and I think that, you know, your point's well taken, is that there's just so much. So Patricia, make sure you have a team that can relieve you in your
Oh,
booth.
definitely.
So that you can get out and
We
you
have an
can,
awesome team.
you know, have a conversation that's not related to kata, you know. And the other thing I think, too, that we've seen, is certainly at the Small Business Development Center, is you guys, meaning Patricia and Mark, you're the CEO of your company.
Right.
And so there are challenges that each of you have in running your business that you can't really talk to any employees that you might have about.
Right.
So by making these connections, you're connecting at a higher level with other business owners that can mentor you, that can guide and direct you in ways that you might not have thought of before.
Right. Your
Right.
friends who work a 9 to 5 have no clue what you're going through, and
Exactly.
they're not going to understand why staying up till 3 a.m. and getting up at 8 a.m. almost every single night of the week is the only way to get your project done.
Right.
And they aren't going to understand what staying up for 50 hours just to load into OneSpark is all about. They're not going to understand how you get all the stamina from like 80,000 people on a day. They just won't. They just won't. So the community around OneSpark is really, you know, probably some of the best that you can get for a startup entrepreneurial mindset. And you know, it's a mentor pool. It's a friend pool. I mean, you're going to meet people who you probably hang with for quite a while after the
Right.
festival.
I think collaboration when you're starting a new company is very important. And the simple fact of there's going to be so many people there that are on a higher level, as Mark says, that you can connect to, those people are going to be the driving force for you to say, okay, am I slacking? You know, do I need to step it up a notch? Or, man, I really like that idea, so let me move into that, because that's going to help my company move forward at a faster rate.
Now, we've been focusing in on creators. So Meredith, let's talk about attendees.
Sure.
What do they need to know before they come down?
We always say, you know, it's like going to Disney World. Like, you know, you've got to pick what park you want to go to. You've got to plan your attack, right? So you can go to onespark.com. You can already create your account, so you can vote for creators or contribute for creators. You can do that today. Go to onespark.com. There's a map. You can start going through the list of creators if maybe you want to focus more on, like, I want to see the tech projects or the art projects or social good. You can start going through and tagging those. And so when you get to OneSpark and you have your app on your smartphone, you can like see, okay, well, I wanted to see that creator, so I'm going to go head over there. So kind of plan your attack. And a bunch of our media partners are focusing on different categories to kind of point out some projects that they think are cool and point out some venues that aren't to be missed. So, you know, for art, pick up Arbus Magazine, that's already out.
Okay.
First Coast Magazine is doing the millennial and the baby boomer experience, a really in-depth one. We have 904 and Jacksonville Magazine focusing on education and health and science. So EU is focusing on music. So pick up one of those if you really want to focus on one category. And again, go on onespark.com. It has the full calendar of events, so if there's certain things you want to see. We have pitch decks that are going on pretty much all day during the festival, where the creators get a chance to go up on those pitch decks, so you can sit there, enjoy some food from the food village, and listen to the pitches, and have your smartphone out. And if you like the pitch, you can vote for that project or contribute to that project. We have 2 beer villages this year, one at the end of Hogan Street on the river, one on Forsyth and Maine. And then, like I said, the food village, 4 full blocks this year. I don't think we'll ever have enough food.
No. I think you're absolutely correct on that one.
Yeah, so I would just say plan your experience. And it is very family friendly. I think it's so great when people bring kids so they can kind of like see that you don't have to think inside the box, that you can like have an idea and run with it, like you two have, and just like be inspired by all the creativity and the entrepreneurship that's going on.
Now, for those of us that have been in the past and have already registered, do we need to re-register, or are we still in there?
Your account should still be in there.
Okay.
You will have to re-download the app,
Okay.
which we will make a big announcement when that is ready for download in the next week. So yeah, just get your app downloaded. We'll have voting and information kiosks to help you vote or contribute.
Okay.
And while you do have to be at the festival to vote, you do have to check in physically using your smartphone or at a kiosk. Anyone in the world can contribute to projects at onespark.com, just like Kickstarter now. And they can also, projects have the option this year to run a 30-day crowdfunding campaign and not let it end when the festival does. So that's an option that creators can choose or not. So we're definitely kind of have that same platform now that Kickstarter and other similar crowdfunding platforms have. So we're excited
Well, I
about
just
that.
know last year what worked for me is I went down, I registered, I visited all of these creators, and then I took, everybody always had some little pamphlet or something. I took all of those, and then when I got home, I sat down on my computer and I did my voting.
Yep.
Yeah.
As
So
long as
that
you-
made it a lot easier.
Yeah, as long as you check in at the festival,
Yes.
then you can go home and vote. So,
Okay.
And we have made huge improvements to our voting system this year. Every year it's like, we expect a certain number of people, and then that's blown out of the water. So we have invested heavily in our website and our app to make voting more smooth this year.
Okay, and I know you have a lot of volunteers.
Oh yeah, always a lot. We still need more. If you're
Okay.
interested, go to onespark.com. You can still sign up till the last trainings are, I guess it would be April 3rd is the last day of training. So you can still sign up today at onespark.com. And it's fun to meet people, meet the other volunteers, meet the creators.
Yeah.
So we have over 1,000 volunteers every year. So we're very lucky to have all that support from the community.
Well, and I think it's great. And I'm going to give Mark the last word. We're almost out of time. What last-minute advice do you have for folks going to OneSpark?
Don't have any preconceived notions of what you thought it was going to be. Go there and figure it out. Interact with the people, see Jacksonville in a different light, because it's going to change faster than you're ready for it to, and you better be behind that change, or else you might get swept up in it. It's a lot of fun. Bring your kids out. There's so much stuff to do for kids there, and I don't know, it's a really good thing to behold. And if you haven't been, you're going to want to come back year after year after year. There's nothing else like it on the planet.
Well, and that's true. In fact, you guys did such a great job that last year you went to Berlin.
Yeah, we did do a small festival in Berlin that was great. We're planning some more of those in the future. And we actually are one of the top 20 festivals by attendance in the United States now. So I think that's something Jacksonville can really be proud of, and I know that we're proud of being a startup ourselves.
Absolutely. So I want to thank all of you for being here, and I wish Patricia, well, all of you, Meredith, it's not fair to leave you out, but I hope you guys have a very, very successful event. You're going to be pooped at the end of this thing. I'm just telling you. So
I'm going to enjoy it.
And you in the audience, don't forget OneSpark, April 7th through the 12th, and downtown Jacksonville. Come, have fun, learn lots of stuff. It's a really, really good time. So we'll see you down at OneSpark. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
You're watching Public Access on Xfinity 99, exclusive programming for Jacksonville Xfinity subscribers.
May God bless you, and I hope you have a great evening. Good night.